nation of great people, different tribes and languages, yet we are united in our diversity. All over the world, Nigerians are known to be very hardworking and resilient people. In our history as a nation, there have been many storms, but just like the eagle, we always soar very high above the storms. Together, as a nation, we stood against Ebola virus disease in 2014, and we conquered. Together as a nation, we shall stand against COVID-19, and we shall surely triumph. Let's do our part as citizens, obey the health authorities, stay at home, practice social distancing and proper hygiene. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we shall dance again at the Calabar Carnival, the Eyo Festival, Celebration, Ojudeoba Festival, and Aragongo Festival. When this is over, and very soon it will, we shall flock the beaches again. We shall attend our music concert again. We shall invite the world once again at the Lagos City Marathon. When this is over, and very soon it will be, we can return to our hustle and bustle. We will gather at our churches and mosques. We shall return to our schools and institutions. Our hope is alive. We are Nigeria, and together we shall rise again. Nigeria Film Corporation, powering possibilities.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
Good afternoon and welcome to Panorama live from Maiduguri Network Center. Eradicating illiteracy, ignorance, poverty, and stimulating national development and integration was the basis of the national policy on education that saw the replacement of the Universal Primary Education UPE with the Universal Basic Education UBE. More than a decade since the outbreak of the Boko Haram insurgency, many parts of the Northeast had this basic educational foundation disrupted by a reign of terror on the school system, teachers, communities, and massive displacement. While efforts were on to reconstruct schools, communities, build resilience, and massive resettlement drive, came the COVID-19 health crisis that slowed down progress in the revival of this fundamental stage in educational development. Now that schools are reopened, how is government and development partners working to encourage enrollment? How can we achieve a successful back-to-school campaign with COVID-19, especially in resettled communities? This is our focus today on Panorama. I am Muhammad Ibrahim. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the extension of tenure of the Inspector General of Police, Muhammad Adamu, for a period of 3 months. The Minister of Police Affairs, Mohammed Megari Dingyadi, announced this while briefing journalists after an audience with the President.
Mr. President has decided that the present IGP, Mohammed Adamu, will continue to serve as the IG for the next 3 months to allow for a robust and efficient process of appointing a new IG. I think this is not unconnected with the desire of Mr. President to not only have a smooth handover, but to also ensure that right officer is being appointed into that position.
The minister used the opportunity to respond to reports in the social media on the appointment of the new Inspector General of Police.
That one cannot control. And I think from what I've told you now, you can classify that information appropriately.
A deliberate strategy on how to better drive a more robust youth inclusion and participation in critical economic sectors towards achieving a greater Nigeria is to be fine-tuned by the federal government. President Muhammadu Buhari, who stated this at an audience with APC youth representatives, expressed the conviction that if the wisdom and experience of the old can be combined with the energy and foresight of the young, the nation's trajectory on the path to a sustainable future can only be enhanced. State House correspondent Adam Musambo has the report.
If you wanted to see something different, you have to be willing to do something different.
As future leaders and most productive segment of the society, President Muhammadu Buhari insists that the young people owe Nigeria the responsibility of deploying their energy and creativity in various fields of endeavor to come up with national development innovations in tandem with the changing dynamics of the world.
While I'll be looking forward to a more robust engagement with young people across the country, I wish to emphasize to you that in me, you have a major supporter. I will offer you my full support to grow in politics, public service, entertainment, entrepreneurship, and many other sectors, because I know that the future we envisage as a country cannot happen without our youth.
The president said he is not unmindful of the daily toils and sacrifices they make towards defending and promoting the APC, and indeed the government assuring them that their efforts shall not be in vain. He, however, reminded the young people that their future is closely tied to the progress that leaders who emerge through the political parties are able to deliver, hence the need to take advantage of the ongoing membership drive of the APC to get registered.
Tell your colleagues to go back to their constituencies and join in party registration, attend party meetings, pay your dues, make contributions, and bring your youthful energy and zeal to bear on the development of the party, right from the unit and ward level up to national.
This, President Buhari said, is the only way the young people can determine who represents them, and not some leaders somewhere believing firmly that politics is a game of numbers and political power truly belongs to the people. The National Youth Representatives APC Caretaker Committee, Mr. Ismail Ahmad, had appreciated the president for always giving quick response to issues that affect young people in the country, which include the N-Power project, the 75 billion naira youth fund, and various interventions that stimulate entrepreneurship and cushion the effect of COVID-19.
This is our time, this is our opportunity, Mr. President. You stand taller than most of your peers and your colleagues in terms of integrity. Be the bridge that will help the young people to participate in every level of politics, be it in governance and politics and political party, so that sooner than later, Mr. President, we learn the mechanics of leadership and will be able to pull ourselves by our bootstraps. And then you, Mr. President, will have the singular legacy of able to create the humongous pool of young people as future leaders as we go along.
Mr. Ismail Ahmed, who is also the Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Social Investment Program, made a strong case for more youth inclusion in all committees of the federal government, since young people constitute more than 60% of the population, and the creation of a Youth Development Commission. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has forwarded the names of the immediate past service chiefs to the Senate as non-career ambassadors designate. In a letter to Senator Ahmed Lawan, President of the Senate, the President said, quote, in accordance with Section 171, subsection 1, subsection 2C, and subsection 4 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended, I have the honor to forward for confirmation by the Senate the underlisted 5 names of nominees as non-career ambassadors designate. The nominees are General Abayomi Gabriel Olushaki, Lieutenant General Tukur Y. Buratai, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, Air Marshal Sadiq Abubakar, and Air Vice Marshal Mohammed S. Usman. The President urged the Senate to give expeditious consideration to the nominations. In other news, the police in Edo State says it has commenced extensive investigation into the kidnap and eventual killing of a U.S.-based 63-year-old Dennis Aduba from Fugar community in Edo State. Anwuli Okolu reports that the Edo State Commissioner of Police, who led a team into Aho village, where the body was found in a forest along Benin bypass in Edo State, says 5 persons have been arrested in connection with the crime.
Victim Dennis Abuja is said to be based in Atlanta, United States of America, and only came to his hometown, Fuga, in Esako, central local government area of Edo State, for the Christmas and New Year festivities. He was kidnapped alongside 8 persons, including a family member, at the Aho end of the Benin bypass.
Because the way they handled the gun, say, I know if I said I should just use force to move,
yes,
fire.
Yes.
So I have to stop.
They kidnapped us on Saturday afternoon at about 1:30 to 2, and they released us on Tuesday evening at about 6.
The situation warranted a search party by the Commissioner of Police CP Philip Obadu, which went into the Aho forest. This led to the recovery of his body and arrest of some suspects.
Well, it's quite unfortunate. We are leaving no stone unturned. We have 5 now.
5 of the suspects,
and they promise to take us to the hideout.
The police assure continuous vigil on the Benin bypass to keep criminals out of the area. Meanwhile, the remains of the victim, Dennis Abuja, have been deposited in the mortuary for autopsy and other investigations. Anwuli Okolo, NTA News.
There has been a significant reduction of gas flaring in Nigeria in the last couple of years, down to about 12% from 65%. The House of Representatives Committee on Gas Resources, during an interaction with Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas, said more opportunities need to be created as byproducts can be reused in other industries. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
The Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas is a public-private joint venture, 49% of which is owned by the federal government. Nigeria ranks number 9 globally among countries with huge gas reserves and is currently the 6th largest exporter of the resource. The House Committee on Gas Resources at this meeting with the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Company Limited noted NLNG's immense contribution to the economy through revenue generation, development of technology and research, in addition to job creation. It was of the opinion that now is the time to strategically reposition it in order to harness its potentials.
The House Committee on Gas Resources is committed to supporting initiatives that will aid to accelerate investments in the production and processing gas, with a view to consolidating Nigeria's gas export opportunities, and more importantly, to enhance massive gas penetration and utilization of the domestic market.
The Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of NLNG, Tony Atta, said the domestic gas consumption is put at 1 million tons per annum and is projected to triple in the next 5 years.
It's easy to see how competition has come in, supply is growing, and the market is moving.
Both sides agree that putting in place enabling laws for development of gas infrastructure will further enhance investments in growth. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA.
The humanitarian crisis in the northeast as a result of the Boko Haram insurgency causing displacement of communities on the front line of the conflict has made it imperative for the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to provide relief on a regular basis. Abubakar Mohamed Musa takes a look at the NEMA monthly food distribution to IDPs, camps, host communities, and sustainability of the food intervention in this new year.
This is the first food distribution exercise carried out by the National Emergency Management Agency for the year 2021. This therefore clearly shows that NEMA is sustaining the food intervention program. Well, I have with me here the head of food distribution exercise of NEMA for Borno State, Navy Captain Mustafa Abdullahi, who is going to shed more light on the whole exercise.
Yes, thank you very much. This is one in a series. It's a monthly parade. Every month, National Emergency Management Agency is charged with distribution of this federal government emergency relief intervention. We've started since 26th of this month. We've done about 5 camps so far. The Bakassi camps is around 7,400 households here. We've been doing this, and this is the one in January. February will continue. Altogether, we are looking at 38,000 households. You understand? Yeah. So, by the grace of God, it's going to be a monthly something. It's a monthly parade.
Okay, sir. Will there be any change concerning this food distribution exercise?
Well, for now, we have been issuing global standard ration. But from the interaction I had with some IDPs, there is this outcry. They need more ration, especially that of maize, because they make pubs, they make a lot of things from the maize. So the agency is actually looking toward that. I think by the grace of God, we'll look into that. The agency will look into that and we'll take care of that one.
All right. We appreciate you so much for talking to us. That is the situation with regards food distribution exercise being carried out by NEMA monthly. It's now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Abubakar. Borno State government, development partners, and other stakeholders have joined hands towards ensuring that the young generation access quality education, having suffered huge setback occasioned by over a decade-long insurgency and COVID-19, hence the back-to-school enrollment drive. Jadwa John Jassani has an update.
The lingering insecurity in Borno State, occasioned by more than a decade years of insurgency, has had a serious devastation on the education sector, leading to a large number of children out of school. However, with the relative peace prevailing in the state, government and other stakeholders have engaged in massive enrollment drive, as it was discovered that even the more than a decade-long insurgency was attributed to a high level of illiteracy and ignorance, among other things. The federal, state and local government are striving to ensure enough academic institutions are put in place in returnee communities, in addition to sensitization and enlightenment campaigns, all in an effort to close the gap in the education of the young ones. However, with the reopening of schools and other areas of human endeavors across the country, Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum is personally spearheading the back-to-school enrollment drive across liberated communities, where some local government chairmen are also doing the same by providing basic instructional materials to enrollees and other incentives so that children of the less privileged will not only access quality education, but also take a reasonable number of these children off the streets.
His Excellency himself, not minding the consequences, had to go to Damasak, and a total of over 1,800 pupils were also enrolled. He has made provisions for uniforms, textbooks, in some cases has even made available buses where children are taken to school. We are still looking forward to going out to places like Magumeri, Gajigena, Gubio, including even Marti and other places in southern Borno as well.
even at the peak of the pandemic, UNICEF is going around moving community by community, establishing reading clubs and all this to see that the lessons or the learning processes has not stopped because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Communities and stakeholders have also joined in sensitizing the people on the need to key into the back-to-school enrollment campaign to bring about educated young people as the leaders of tomorrow. In Maiduguri, Jadwa, John Jesney, NTA News.
The Boko Haram insurgency war a serious setback to the gains of the Universal Basic Education National Policy. Then came the coronavirus pandemic that hampered efforts towards promoting schools enrollment, especially in IDP camps, liberated and returning communities that are benefiting from the Borno State resettlement drive. Schools are now open and education back on its feet. But what strategies are in place to resume the back-to-school campaign to get pupils into classes? What stimulus is in place in resettled communities where new schools have been provided? With me to discuss this issue is the Director of School Services, Ali Bukar Dogo. Sir, you're welcome to Panorama.
Thank you. You're welcome.
How has the Boko Haram insurgency and COVID-19 health crisis affected school system, especially basic education in Borno?
Actually, we have 1,346 primary schools in the state, and we have 286 junior secondary schools. And out of that, about 512 schools were completely destroyed by insurgency as a result of insurgency, while about 570 teachers were killed from basic education, and those who are conscripted into Boko Haram and those who actually escaped, which is not to be determined where they went, many. And even our pupils have been conscripted into this Boko Haram.
So what measures were put in place by government and development partners to get the schools back on stream, particularly in the affected areas?
Yeah, actually, government has done a lot. If you have watched recently, the committee has been in Monguno. They have conducted a relevant drive campaign. Our chairman was also one of the members. And here in Borno, in Maiduguri also, we conducted a relevant drive and back to school campaign for those who have dropped out from schools as a result of insurgency or displacement. But now, I think most of the children are now back to schools, and we have provided His Excellency, in his magnanimity, was able to provide with all the necessary teaching and learning materials to these pupils, including uniforms and other necessary security gadgets and provided security at places where learning is taking place.
Okay, impressive. Then how is the back-to-school enrollment program faring in Borno, especially in communities where schools were reconstructed as part of the ongoing resettlement drive? How are they coping now?
Actually, it is safe now. Actually, they are now resettling, and most of them are now going back gradually. And really, like Monguno now, they have already settled, and Marte is also ongoing. And this is the effort and commitment of His Excellency, Professor Babagana Umar Azulum. And if not of his effort and of his leadership quality, I think it is very, very difficult by now for somebody to even start settling in their respective communities.
All right. Then what stimulus is being provided through BESDA and other initiatives to encourage parents to return their children to classes to make up for the lost time as a result of COVID-19?
Actually, BESDA has been doing a lot. I'm one of the Rizal Area 2 member. Okay. Lead director Rizal Area 2 of the BESDA. And BESDA is to address the out-of-school children, that is about 1.2 million children out of school in Borno State. And with the enrollment of this, at least we are now only left with this 600 or 700, not more than 600 or 700 children out of school in Borno. Okay. With this our strategies, and really, these children we are provided with meals. Homegrown school feeding is also provided for these children to motivate them to continue coming to school and remain in school and learn. And we are giving them uniforms, we are giving them all the necessary learning materials, and recently we distributed sanitary facilities, COVID-19 sanitary facilities to all the schools to ensure that we provided safeguard to all these schools to ensure that they are protected from such kind of pandemic.
Okay, I think we have to leave it here. Director of School Services, Ali Bukar Dogo, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Panorama continues after this break. Stay tuned.
The counsel of our fathers
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Welcome back to Panorama. 1,340 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in Nigeria in the last 24 hours, spread across 21 states and the FCT. In the new figures released by the NCDC, the FCT tops the list with 320 new infections, followed by Lagos with 275, then Rivers State with 117 cases. Others are 100 in Oyo, 57 in Akwa Ibom, 51 in Ogun, 48 in Ebonyi, while Benue has 44. Adamawa State recorded 42 cases, Imo 38, Kwara 35, Gombe 32, Kaduna 31, while Ogun and Edo posted 29 cases each. The tally is completed by Kano with 24 cases, Ekiti with 15, Katsina with 14, 13 each for Delta and Nasarawa, 10 for Jigawa, and 3 cases for Sokoto. Nigeria now has 136,030 confirmed cases, out of which 110,449 were treated and discharged, while 1,632 deaths have been recorded, unfortunately. On sports, WAFU Zone AU Under-17 qualifier set to kick off in Senegal. Details and more on Sports Update with Tamara Ibiwe.
The WAFU A Zone qualifying tournament for the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations Morocco 2021 kicks off on Friday, with hosts Senegal taking on Gambia in the opener before the game against Mauritania in Group A. Group B has Mali, Sierra Leone and Guinea-Bissau in contention. Top 2 teams from each group qualify to the semi-finals, with the 2 finalists to represent the Western Zone A in the final phase of the Under-17 Africa Cup of Nations. In tennis, Australian Open boss Craig Tiley says he is absolutely confident the Grand Slam will serve off as planned on Monday, despite 160 players waiting for coronavirus tests. A total of 507 people connected to the event were told to isolate by Melbourne health officials after a hotel worker tested positive. The warm-up events, which are all taking place at Melbourne Park, will resume on Friday, while the draws have also been shifted to Friday. Elsewhere, the head of the Tokyo Olympics Organizing Committee, Yoshiro Mori, has apologized for making inappropriate remarks about women after calls for his resignation. Mori retracted the comments but said he was not planning to stand down. With Sports Update, Tamara Ibiwe, NTA News.
All for Panorama this afternoon from NTA Maiduguri Studios. Do have a pleasant weekend.
NTA. You can't beat the rich.
Disaster occurs on frequent basis. Some we hear of, others we do not. Terrorism, flood, fire, earthquake, car or plane crashes, building collapse, and even armed robbery, each bringing assets and revenue loss, human mortality, and in 90% of survivors, great loss of hope. Flooding is the most common of all environment hazards, and it regularly claims over 20,000 lives per year and adversely affects about 75 million people worldwide. Nigeria has had its fair share.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows, only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows, only
Emergencies, as the name implies, are not set out to happen, but they can be planned or budgeted for. Disaster management may not avert emergency threats, but it will decrease the impact of disaster where well handled. It then brings to the fore the key phases to management of disaster: mitigation, response, recovery, preparedness, and prevention. Every citizen must be well acquainted with all of them. Wishing disaster away does not avert it. Rather, as put in the local parlance, a man of valor is only identified at a time of emergency. Let us always be prepared.
This is the network service of the NTA.
Sheer adventurism is driving me to go deep into the Onyama mines. It is the biggest coal mine in the whole of Well, the coronation of the new Oni is a watershed in the history of the Yoruba land generally, and Ife in particular. Now, because they have a leader now, that will... Gura is a beautiful countryside with awesome landscapes. If something differently would be done to the Nigerian textile industries, that our youth will be employed. Many people that attend the church here can tell you, service in Holy Arosa is in We are taking a canoe tour of the communities on the bank of River Niger in Getso. When beauty opens its doors, it reveals magnificence. So it happens in Jos, Plateau State capital, at the National Festival for Arts and Culture NAFES took over the town. For 7 days, the state capital knows no rest, as the spirit of the cultural diversity of the country takes it over. The variety is flattering, the performance exceptional, and the memory lingering.